Theobroma cacao, or the food of the gods, or as many would call it, chocolate. Chocolate is known as a comfort food, as happiness, as taste, and even as love. But what is the origin of chocolate? Why does chocolate affect us in such a way that we must even crave it sometimes? And exactly what could be some of the best examples of chocolate in today's form, and what, of course, is the most expensive chocolate out there? In this speech, I will show you the history of the cacao plant and its transfer from Mesoamerica to Europe, the biological reason behind the chocolate's effect on the human body, and the emphasis on the fine chocolates that are in today's culture, i.e. the truffle. But first, we will talk about its history. Now, the history of the chocolate bean is actually shrouded in mystery because there's not a specific example of when the first cacao tree was planted and then eaten. But what we do know is that to the Mesoamerican cultures, that chocolate was the closest we could get to godliness. To them, it was the manna from heaven. Blake Edgar, in his book, Power of Chocolate, states that cacao was in every ceremony, from political ceremonies to wedding ceremonies. And it is so important to the Olmecs that there was an entire ceremony that poured a single cup of the steamy hot chocolate into 50 different jars, just for one drink that we would now consider. Now, it was so important to the culture that when Cortez first came to Montezuma, he gave him chocolate because he believed that Cortez was in fact a god. In response to the gift of chocolate, Cortez then killed the entire civilization, but brought chocolate back to Spain. Chocolate became so important and such a delight to Spaniards that women would even drink it during church to stay awake. An important factor about this is that one priest stood out against the consumption of chocolate, and he was then poisoned and killed by eating bad chocolate. Now, I have shed light on the history of the chocolates and its beans from early cultures in America to Spain, but now I will explain to you the biological reasons why it affects us and why the craving always starts. Now, in Dr. Mundy's treatise on food, he noted that one of his patients, a couple whose wife was in complacency, suddenly was able to conceive of 6 children after the consumption of chocolate. Now, this is the reason behind this is that chocolate has a chemical in it that's called phenethylamine, which activates the brain's central nervous system that makes them feel happy, makes them feel comfort. That's why chocolate is now a comfort food to most people. And Philip Wilson said in his book on chocolate and health that the reason why chocolate is also so popular when you're stressed is that chocolate is cheaper than therapy, and you don't have to go to the sessions. Now, finally, we know that chocolate is a good mood food and will always make you happy when you consume it. But what could be the best types of chocolate for us to consume, especially for Valentine's Day and when you really want to spend some money on something good? And now I will talk about my favorite, truffles. Now, the most expensive chocolate, said by Forbes magazine, is the Chocopology, which goes for $250 per pound, which is this right here. Now, this simple little thing is handmade, hand-molded from the finest of chocolates and confections. Forbes also states that this has been the most expensive and most sought-after chocolate for the past 18 years, for good reason. You actually have to order this at least 2 weeks to a month in advance, a single truffle. In closing, I would like you to take and realize the importance of chocolate, but the history behind this tiny little bean that everyone craves and everyone loves to eat and give to each other on Valentine's Day. And you also now know that biologically, that sometimes the cravings are just because chocolate is chocolate, and we all love chocolate. And finally, I mentioned truffles, in which an expensive truffle can go for over $250 and people will still buy it. I would like to leave you now with a little quote by the author of Peanuts, Charles M. Schulz. All you need is love, but time and again, chocolate's good too. Thank you.